So will the self-proclaimed geniuses at Davos finally adopt an economic formula that works? Let's bring in the host of Lou Dobbs tonight, Mr. Lou Dobbs himself. Great to see you, Lou. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
President Trump has essentially a blueprint for how to make an economy work and work extremely well. Do you think the Euros will listen?
I think they're paying attention, and I think that the globalist elites, as they're styled, in point of fact, are beginning to question some of the assumptions that has gripped the Eurozone for a very long time. I think they understand the price that they're paying with the systems they've chosen, and that to see a business-friendly president in a wide-open capitalist free enterprise economy, he is probably creating some considerable envy right now.
Yeah, except you have in Europe this incredible obeisance to the green parties in all these various countries. One of the things that they seem unable to do is really confront that. I mean, an awful lot of Germany's problems and France's problems have to do with their power costs being 5 times what ours are because they're not fracking, they're not allowing nuclear power, et cetera. How do they confront that? I mean, is there any appetite? It seems to me like the tide is going exactly the wrong way.
I think that every system, irrespective of the continent it's on or the direction of their polity, the reality is everybody's going to have to come to terms with how to drive energy at reasonable cost with innovation, whether you have scarce fossil resources or you have them aplenty. We're watching an amazing dialogue taking place right now. Free enterprise in this country is the model for what is succeeding.
Let's not forget, our economy is a lot bigger than theirs also. We shouldn't be growing more than they should be growing more than us. It just tells you everything you need to know. And when you see the protests over there, you know what they're protesting about? The state and how big the state is. And unfortunately, these people are used to the state and they want more of the state. And when the state keeps growing, the economy shrinks. And that's what's been the problem. You saw it in France when they tried to do the wealth tax and they had to pull that back in 3 years because everything went south. I just don't think they're going to change. They're going to watch, they're going to listen, but they're not going to change.
The last thing a modest American should do is expect the Europeans to change. We have the empirical in front of us. We have a system that is working here. We have an economy that is growing. We have a president who is leading, not just the United States, but the free world. They can make their choices about what they see. Our unemployment rates versus theirs. Our growth rate versus theirs. Our ability to improve our environment versus theirs. It's quite a dramatic story to tell, and it's one of immense success. This president, who is a populist, has, I think, a bright standard away from on high, and the Europeans, let them make their own choices. It is, after all, foundational to our way of life. Choice.
All right, a couple things. I mean, we're drawing this incredibly stark differential between the EU and the United States, but they are actually about the same size in terms of overall economic output.
Countries.
I'm talking about, but they act as a bloc. The 27 countries of the Eurozone act as a $20 trillion GDP bloc. That's growing at about 1%. The United States is growing at about 2.5%. So it's obviously true the United States GDP growth is greater. But the trade-off is there is a strong belief in a lot of those Eurozone economies that there should be a profound social safety net that costs a lot of money. And even in the United States, look, there are a lot of people we've talked about on this show who are discontent with the level of healthcare security, who would probably be willing to give up a little bit of GDP growth for greater healthcare security within the United States. This is going to be a major portion of the 2020 election. And that is, in fact, the trade-off, combined with the fact that a lot of those Western European countries are shrinking in population, which means...
Zach, you don't think it's a little ironic that the countries with the biggest social safety nets also have the biggest unemployment throughout Europe?
Case closed.
Well, youth unemployment.
Because they are willing to subsidize it. These are societal choices, meaning, do you allow to subsidize people who are not working as much? Do you pay for health care? Do you insist on the market doing so? We can say, look, we have a better system because we prefer it, and that does, in fact, lead to marginally better GDP growth. And GDP growth should not be the only source of societal contentment or societal success.
Well, 150% isn't marginal. between our GDP growth rates. My God,
it's 150 basis points. So yes, it's 1% to 2.5%.
How would you translate that?
Well, I'm just saying 1.5% sounds a lot bigger when you say 150% than 1%.
The most important part of the equation is 3.5% unemployment versus 7.5%. That are people that are producing, sending a check to the government versus government sending a check to them. What has happened in the last 3 years is a stark change from what we've seen for a very, very long time. To say that 6 to 7 million people have come off welfare and are in jobs is magnificent. And the fact that we still have the momentum even now is doubly magnificent.
You use the word momentum. That's a very important word because it's the direction in which you could, I mean, the Europeans, by even their own standards, are going down. That is, their rate of growth is going from 1%, which wasn't much to begin with, down below 1%, whereas ours is growing.
I think we have to be very clear here. The argument is not the United States with Europe. The argument is Europe with the United States. They are the statist. They said that this president would fail just as did the statist in this country. Instead of failure, what we have seen is remarkable growth, in fact, unprecedented growth through the first 3 years of any presidency in the modern era. Secondly, we have the lowest unemployment rates in history for our minorities, the lowest in 65 years for women. We have a 3.5% unemployment rate, which is the best in a half century for this country. We have extraordinary formation of capital, and we have the extremely fortunate position of having a president who is delivering on every one of his promises. And I love these commercials from Bloomberg. Mike,
they upset my football games.
Mike will make it work out, or whatever the devil. What does he think this president is doing? He's succeeding on every front.